Hello, everybody, and welcome to TimmyB week number 6. This has got to be the most interesting set of rules for any of the TimmyB tournament. Even more interesting than the squid races. Imagine.
Possibly, yeah. Sorry,
you can back me up on this?
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were gonna be like, "Hey, here's my co-caster." No, yeah,
no, man. I believe in your assertiveness. I believe in you.
It's definitely an interesting thing. Basically, putting up the points that you have gained through the 5 weeks of TimmyB so far.
Yeah, this is week number 6,
and unlocking ships and weapons and whatnot as it has gone along. And I think everything got unlocked, right?
Yes. Some shit. All right, so
because it depends on how much percentage you put in of your points, I think, right?
Yes. It's basically saying I'm willing to put this many of my points in to unlock this stuff. Round it up.
Yep.
Round it up. It is important. So the rules for this week are really interesting. For those of you who don't know, teams can bet a certain percentage of their points. And there are two things that come along with it. First off, if they lose their game, then they lose those points that they bet. But of course, they win those points back, so it's 100% return rate on it. So they get they get double the points back for however much they put in. So along with that, the more points you bet, the better stuff you unlock. So for example, and it's done by percentages. So let's say a team only bets the minimum 20%. There's a chart that shows what you unlock on the page. So if you bet 20%, you get the Spire. That's the only ship that you can run. You get the heavy carronade as a weapon, and the only as a heavy weapon, and the only light weapons you can use are the Echidna, Flak, the Banshee, and the Mercury. Now, if you bet 30% of your total points, you can use all of that, including the Squid instead of the Spire if you want. You also get the Flamer as a choice. So basically, you get more options the more points you bet. So the idea is you have a bigger roster of stuff the more you bet, so you're more likely to win. That's kind of the idea. And now we have everyone in the lobby. So what's it look like? Imagine, what are we looking at?
Well, we've got, of course, once again, a 3v3 going on here. We've got, Les Phoenix Exaltus, which is Flib. I think they're a new team, right? I believe they just put up a new recruitment post on the forums. So we got the Thralls, of course. We got some Riders. We got some Gents, some Crimson Sky Marauders, and the Brotherhood TB. I swear to God, every time I see TB, all I can think of is Total Biscuit.
Oh, yeah. It's, I understand that. I mean, we already have the Angry Joe Show army.
Yeah, this is true. That is here. But yeah, I mean, these 6 ships getting ready to go. We're still missing one member from the Vagabond Otters. But let me actually take a look. I had the team names here. So yeah, we got the Les Phoenix Exalt, the Thralicious, the Vagabond Otters on the red team, the Gold Mines, Crimson Sky Menace, and the Brotherhood on the blue team.
So Tora actually pulled me into the Gents TeamSpeak and taught me how to pronounce that Mavula's name. And I'm going to try. Oh God, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna call it the Donner. I'm chickening out.
Donnerwetter?
Donnerwetter.
Donnerwetter? Listen.
I think that was close enough.
We're going to call it the Donner Party, and hopefully they don't eat each other.
I'm just going to call it the Donner. This is so embarrassing. I can pronounce English words just fine. Anything else? Ugh. Terrible.
Yeah, no, that's what'll happen when you start using foreign languages. Like the Les Phoenix Exaltus? Is it Exaltus?
I think it's Le Phoenix. I'm not sure how you pronounce the X in that context.
But we're just gonna call it.
I think it's Le Phoenix Exalt.
Okay, well, we're gonna call it the Phoenix. But we refer to him myself, but
the Phoenix Exalt. think that's how you pronounce it. Please don't quote me on that. Oh God, this is what happens when you live into America and are cordoned off from every other European, like all the European countries. You don't learn how to pronounce anything ever.
Well, foreign languages are hard no matter where you're living, honestly.
It's interesting. So I'm kind of looking at the loadouts and how much people have bet. The Thralls, as far as I know, are doing pretty well point wise, and they've only bet 40% of their points. It sounds crazy to say only 40%, but
Well, when you consider in context, I was actually looking through, and most teams actually bet somewhere between 90 and 100%.
well, you have to bet 80% of your points just to get the Pyramidion, and that is purposeful.
Right, absolutely. But
They
I'm just saying, a lot of people just actually have gone all in. So yeah, the Thralls doing only
40% because they have Gatlings and then they have the Spire. Like they're happy to run the Spire for once. It's really paying off for them. They don't have to bet much, and they actually still have a good chance of winning. They have, let's see, on the red team we also have 2 goldfish, which means let's see, they have the Hwacha as well, which is lower. Oh, Hwacha is 70%. Okay, so the Phoenix has bet about 70% of their points, I think. And their light guns, yeah, Gatlings, those are 40. And then for the other one, I think, yeah, they're just running 60%. They're betting 60%. So overall, the red team is spending significantly less than the blue team. However, on the other side, we have a couple of Pyramidions, and we have a harpoon on the front of the pointy spear, which means they bet all their points. What are the Crimson Cavalry doing? It looks like they haven't quite bet everything, but they have bet 90% to get that mortar on the front. And then the Donner, it is a Mobula, so it's 50%. Mortar is 90. They have a mortar up top. This is a Brawlbula. Like, they are really going for it. They're taking the mortar. Like, this is a lot of points on the line here.
it's a lot of Gatlings. Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's on Canyon Ambush, so they can probably catch somebody and surprise somebody. Just make sure you're not going over rocks as you're approaching.
Yeah, no kidding. I feel like the Brawlbula is an interesting choice for Canyon Ambush. I'm not sure how it's going to work, and I feel like the Brotherhood betting all of their points and then putting a harpoon on the front of a Pyramidion has got to be one of the boldest things I've ever seen.
Well, it should be noted that the only 100% point unlock is the harpoon.
Yeah. Like
so if you're going to bet 100 points, I guess you're like, well, I paid for the harpoon, so I might as well use it.
I don't know, man. Like there are a lot of.
Then again, it is once again canyons. So
it's canyon, yeah. But
so
on the
with the pyro, you can harpoon and just slam into things. But yeah, it's gonna be weird.
You could, like, I think that's the key word here. You could, but do you really want to? I mean, to me, that's like that guy that bought a shirt made purely out of gold. Like, yeah, great, you have it. I'm still not convinced it's a great idea to wear it around. I'm kind of feeling that way about the harpoon right now. It's like, yes, congratulations, you bought the harpoon. I'm still not sure you want to wear that on the front of your Pyramidion.
Yeah, well, maybe they're just doing it for style points. I'm guessing
style points.
You're still getting style points given to you. Of course, that's one of the things that's been going on in this Timmy thing. It's not just a matter of who wins and who loses, but how you win or lose is also a big thing, and how you look while you win or lose is also a thing. So,
I will say,
I just want to say, in the one game that I participated in and captained in, we lost horribly, but I had the best looking costume according to the judges. So that's my
yeah. That's what really matters.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say the Carronade Harpoon isn't the worst against these ships. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter what you take against the Spire if you're going to be a Pyrrha. And the Harpoon is just going to make sure that it doesn't wiggle its way out of a ram. And on the Goldfish, I mean, the hull's pretty big. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to land a shot. Plus, the carronade's easy to land into the balloon, and then you just sort of pull them with the harpoon, and it makes them hit the ground. I mean, it makes them hit the ground harder. It's possible.
Yeah, it's I mean, the problem with it is that in some places in canyons, there's a long way to fall. So if they're flying up high, that carronade, while it can do work, will be a little bit of a problem. But if they can get engagements inside of the canyons, they can actually do some fair amount of damage just by slamming goldfish and spires around.
Yeah, it's surprising. I should also point out that the Pointy Spear has a Gatling mortar on its port side. So why not?
It's got
We're
what
just
now?
waiting. It's got a Gat mortar on the
Gatling
port
mortar.
side.
Yeah, I see that.
I mean, if they already bet 100 points, they unlock the mortar.
Yep, this is true. I still think they're just going to be ramming, though. I mean, maybe they can possibly do something with that, some fancy maneuvering with that, but I have a feeling they're just going to be slamming straight forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think that, man, I gotta say, I think that the red team has a pretty good setup for how little they spent on it. I mean, they bet significantly less than the blue team, but their build still looks decent. I mean, they have two goldfish that can protect their spire very well. You have a Hwacha and a Carronade, both great disabling. And that's going to allow the Thrallicious to come in. It has the Gatlings on the sides. Like this is the classic Thrall spire. Though the Gatlings are favoring the port side. Usually they have the whiskers out on the sides, and then they have something else up top. But certainly, this is very close to what they usually run.
Yeah, absolutely, and we know that we know that the thralls love running their spires, regardless. So it's not like they're not practicing it.
Yeah. So I feel like the red team actually has a pretty good shot. There we go. He's back. And I think we can get this game underway. Delta Jug, are they? Oh my god, they're just making more and more puns with their ship name. This is painful.
Yep. So we're just got a couple of readies, so we're just waiting for the rest of the teams to.
Yeah, I think everyone's
get on up here.
About ready. Here we go. Blue team's looking a little bit more ready. Gatling mortar forward Pyrrha on the blue team. At least they have one of those. And I'm wondering how well it's going to work against these goldfish, though. I mean, look at these ships. The Spire, yeah, great. Any Pyrrha build is going to work against the Spire. You could probably run double flare and still see some measure of success. But the Gatling mortar, in my opinion, not so great against a goldfish. It's really hard to actually get the thing to slow down so you can land your shots.
Well, a lot of it is probably going to have to do with how the Phoenix is able to knock out the front guns as well.
I think it's more going to depend on the Crimson Cavalry's allies.
Yeah, sure. Goldfish. Absolutely. I mean, that is kind of what happens in this entire, welcome to Guns of Icarus, guys. You're relying on your teammates. There is no such thing as winning or playing 1v1.
I am surprised that the blue team is running so many Gat mortars. I feel like they need more disable on their team, and I think it's going to hurt them. I really
Awesome.
do. I mean, the gap mortar mobula is dependent on its ally to make openings a lot of the time. Sometimes, like in Northern Fjords, they can go through the clouds, but in something like Canyon Ambush, I think they're going to be relying. It's going to be relying on the pointy spear to really make openings for it.
All right, Oracle. I hate this to do this to you, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to cast this match, just this match, by yourself for now.
That's cool.
If anyone wants to know later on why, I can let you know. But you're gonna have Oracle here by himself for this match. I will be back with the next one. Good luck, guys.
All right, see you in a little bit, Imagine. For now, we have the red and blue teams. First of all, we have the Phoenix. It is a goldfish being piloted by Captain J. Kill. Watch it forward with Gatlings bristling on the sides. We also have the Thrallicious, a spire being piloted by Fiasco Total. We have a flak on the front, Gatlings on the front and port side, and then a flamethrower on the starboard. And we have the an otter terrible pun being piloted by Delta Jug. It is a blender fish with a flare on the port side and a flamethrower on the starboard, still managing to get that flare onto the team. For the blue side, we have the Donnerwetter. Whatever. You're getting... that pronunciation was probably awful, but that's okay. Being piloted by Princess Tutu. Mortar up top with Gatlings on the lower decks and Banshees on the wings. We also have the Crimson Cavalry, a Pyramidium being piloted by I'm Nobody, betting 90% of their points. Gatling mortar forward with a flamethrower and flare on the port side. They spent a lot for this very normal looking setup. We also have the Pointy Spear, the boldest of all, betting 100% of their points. Carronade and Harpoon on the front, with a Gatling mortar on the side for a little bit of kill potential as well. Lot of Gatling mortars on the blue side, not a whole lot of disable, and they're really going to have to play around that. Now, the thing that makes that sort of uber 3-ship kill setup really scary is that there is a lot of disable on the red team, coupled with the kill potential of a flak double Gatling Spire. Now, a long time ago, I was I was not very confident in this build. But in that time, in the time that I've seen this ship, in the time that I've seen it, do really well, I've been convinced that this can be a very strong setup. And I think that the Thralls can make this work. Now, I am a little bit worried here. The Thrallicious is coming around the western side, splitting up a little bit from its allies. It may be relying on these goldfish to make the initial engagement, and then the Spire can come in from the side later. However, any flanking maneuver with a Spire is a dicey one, and there are very few times where it has actually managed to work. I can't think of a single example in the competitive scene. Usually it ends up, unless it's on the Spire. In that case, the Spire dies. But besides that, it's dicey. It is a very dicey maneuver. But I think they're going for it. The Phoenix has been spotted. Thrallicious poking its head around the corner. Can't quite see the blue ships yet. But the red team has been spotted. So has the Crimson Cavalry. So it's going to rise up into the clouds. And I'm guessing that the red team is going to say, either it's trying to buy time for its allies to move into position, or all of them are there. Either way, the red team has got to make some sort of move. And the fact that they don't know where a lot of the blue team is very detrimental. Now, the Donner is below that hard cover. It has not been spotted, I don't think. So right now, each team has only seen one ship of the other. Pointy Spear has popped up. Well, I think that was the Crimson Cavalry that popped up. Yeah, it's going to drop back down below the clouds. Another cloud coming in here, and I'm wondering if the blue team are going to try to use this on approach. Now, they're making no move of it. Engines are not buffed aboard the Crimson Cavalry. They do have a buff hammer, but they're not buffing the engines yet. They're not looking for any movement quite yet. Otherwise, the engines would be buffed. Pointy Spear, much of not the same. They do not have a buff hammer aboard that ship, opting for a gunner instead for the Harpoon. That's interesting that they have the gunner on the port side, on the balloon side. If the balloon of the Pointy Spear gets disabled, it's going to be really hard to bring it back up without losing a lot of their firepower. The carronade's going to be down for a while. That's going to allow their target to get their balloon back up. And I was saying this before, the pointy spear is the disable for this team. Like, the Crimson Cavalry has a flamethrower on the port side. Yeah, that's great and dandy, but that's not what you're using this Pyramidion for. You're using it for the Gat Mortar. It's for the kill, not the disable. Donnervetter, still low. Donnervetter. Whatever. Left Phoenix, dropping down. And it's going to spot the Donner. Hwacha is ready. They're aiming down. Gatlings come out from the Donner. Not going to land very well. That's only the first Gatling, though. There are 2 Gatlings aboard this Mobula, and they are going to start landing hard on that Goldfish. Thralicious firing down on the Mobula. This poor Mobula is all alone with Gatlings raining in. The Pointy Spear and Crimson Cavalry are being forced forward right now to try and defend its allies. The Donner goes very low. However, an Otter terrible pun coming around from behind, trying to catch up. Carronade goes out, going to go into the engine column and the balloon of the Crimson Cavalry. That is not what they need. Pointy Spear, however, able to get close on the Thralicious. They're landing carronade shots on the balloon, but it's able to move forward. The Crimson Cavalry does have good arcs. The Thralicious is going to rise. They do have hydrogen. They are going to burn it, I believe. Yes, they are. But they're still going to take quite a bit of hull damage. Now, Flamethrower coming out, trying to disable the Pointy Spear at least a little bit. Now, 4 stacks of fire on the balloon. The fire stacks on the guns are manageable, but the armor is down. It's going to be tough to get those fires under control as the flak comes in. 1 lands. The armor comes up before the second one can. Now, the Crimson Cavalry rising up, trying to hit the Thralicious, but this fire is proving remarkably agile as it continues fire on the Pointy Spear. The left Phoenix firing upon this Pyramidion as well, and it goes down. Flak shot going to do it. An Otter terrible pun rising up to defend its ally. Crimson Cavalry in a lot of trouble. Armor down. Hull getting shredded by the Hwacha. Thralicious backing up, trying to make sure its flak can get something done, and that is going to be the 3rd kill for the red team. However, the Donner has come back in. Gatlings raining on the Thralicious, and the mortars are going to do it. These Goldfish are left all alone, and their kill ship is going to spawn very far away. I think that these Goldfish need to get out of here now, but they are going to follow on the Donner, and it may prove fruitful. Gatling going down to another terrible pun, but the hull on the Donner is not looking great. Armor still down. What are they waiting for? The balloon is down as well. They bring it back up, but they bounce and they die. That armor was just not there. 4-1 for the red team, and it is working out remarkably well. Crimson Cavalry coming in behind the left Phoenix. I don't care if that's not how you pronounce it. Pointy Spear coming up a little bit behind it as well. The Pointy Spear has got to close distance to actually land that harpoon and hold one of these Goldfish in place. Now, the Spire desperately trying to come in here, but that is one slow ship, and the Pointy Spear is threatening to close distance. Harpoon goes out, goes wide. Phoenix is going to keep its mobility for now, but it may not matter. Mortar going into the hull, bringing it down to half. Pointy Spear going to lay down its damage as well. The Donner looking to pick up the 2nd kill of the game for their team. Gatling goes into the Hwacha. That's going to disable it, and the Phoenix is going to fall. Another terrible pun backing up just as the Thralicious reveals itself. And I think the red team are going to back up. They extended quite a bit. The red team decided to keep fighting despite losing their Spire, and they traded a 1-for-1 kill for it. Now, when you're that far ahead, when you're 3-1, I think those deaths are worth it. It was a big risk to run, but I think it's worth it to get closer to victory. But the Another Terrible Pun has eaten a lot of hull damage. Crimson Cavalry has stepped forward, but it may pay for it. Holy cow, that was fast. That was a buffed Lochnagar shot, and that'll do it. That's all you need. And now the Pointy Spear and Donnervetter suddenly finding themselves in a very bad position, but the Thralicious eating a lot of fire. Mortars going wide as they burn hydrogen, but just a couple of them landed, and that's all they really need for some good hull damage. Hull at half, but another terrible pun coming around behind the Donner, going to pop the balloon and send that Mobula down to the ground. The Pointy Spear, in the meantime, trying to get its balloon up as well. Another terrible pun actually manages to get the kill on that Mobula. Blenderfish so brutal against a Mobula like that. And the Pointy Spear not looking great right now. Thralicious firing Gatling shots onto this Pyramidion. Armor down. Flat gonna come out any second now, and this may be it. Pointy Spear bumps its ally, gonna throw it off a little bit as the Crimson Cavalry comes in for a ram, but the Phoenix can eat it just fine. It's a goldfish, and the ram went into the balloon. It pops it off a little to the side. It may actually be sandwiched here. Its back was to the canyon. Armor back up. It's back down. Mortar picks up the kill, but the Thrall is just able to pick up another kill in the meantime. Let's see that again. That was very, very, very close. Look at that. Pointy Spear. Just not quite able to survive. The Thrallish just does so much damage. Buffed Loch Nagar Flak. Instant kill. That absolutely turned the engagement around for the red team. And betting fewer points. They pick up the victory.
All right.
Yeah, you're back.
Yep. Now I'm here.
That was an impressive match.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to me like the Mobula got killed quite a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of it was the Mobula didn't really have any cover. When you have a vulnerable ship like that, you're relying on your allies to really cover for you, especially in a 3v3. But there was none because, I mean, let's face it, the other ships just weren't cut out. Those Pyramidions were not cut out to defend a Mobula. There was too much kill and not enough disable, and disable always wins the initial engagement.
No, absolutely. And I don't know, maybe it was the semi weird builds that with a carronade harpoon front for one of those Pyras, it definitely had a hard time doing stuff by itself.
There we go. Getting into game number 2. All right, guys. Game number 2 coming up in just a moment. Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, I think someone's sitting in your spot. There we go.
There we go. Okay, things were a little bit messed up here. Everyone piled in. We'll be right back here, guys, with game number 2 of the TimmyB tournament. Hang tight.